Commander Alina Voss stood at the helm of the transport ship, her gaze fixed on the swirling clouds that enveloped Earth's atmosphere. The remnants of humanity clung to life in scattered strongholds, each day a new battle for survival against the relentless Warborn. The urgency in the distress signal she received just hours earlier echoed in her mind. It had been a plea for help from Fort Ashen, a bastion at the heart of the Eastern Coalition, and now it was up to her to save what remained. As the ship descended through the clouds, the battered landscape of crumbled cities and scorched earth came into view. Fort Ashen rose defiantly from the ruins, a last refuge that had withstood countless assaults. But the fortifications that had once seemed impregnable were now barely holding up against the Warborn's advanced weaponry. Alina's heart raced. She knew the stakes. Failure meant extinction for her people. Upon landing, Alina was greeted by a group of weary soldiers. Their uniforms were tattered, faces grimy and streaked with ash, yet their eyes reflected the stubborn flame of resilience. She quickly gathered them in the makeshift command center, a dimly lit room crowded with maps and flickering monitors. The mood was tense, filled with unspoken fears and the weight of defeat. "We're here to talk about the Warborn's new weapon," she began, her voice steady but firm. "We can't let them use it against us. We need to unite our forces and strike before they can launch an assault." A murmur rippled through the group, and one soldier, Sergeant Marlowe, stepped forward. "Commander, we've heard about the AIs that escaped the war effort. Some say they're responsible for the initial breaches that led to our downfall. How can we trust them now?" Alina met his gaze, her resolve hardening. "They may have been used as tools of war, but they have evolved. We can't afford to be divided any longer. The Warborn see our divisions as weakness. We need every ally we can muster." The room fell silent, uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. Alina felt the weight of their doubt pressing down on her, but she refused to falter. "I know it's hard to accept," she continued, her voice rising with conviction. "But if we don't come together now, we will lose everything. Fort Ashen can be our rallying point." Just as murmurs of agreement began to rise, an alarm blared, piercing through the tension. The screens flickered to life, displaying images of Warborn ships descending from the skies, their sleek, menacing forms cutting through the clouds like predators. Panic erupted in the command center. "Get everyone to their stations." Alina barked, her instincts kicking into high gear. "We need to prepare for battle. If we can hold them off until reinforcements arrive, we might have a chance." As the soldiers scrambled to their posts, Alina felt a surge of determination. This was not just about survival, it was about defiance. The Warborn had taken so much from humanity, but they would not take their spirit. In the chaos, Alina's thoughts turned to the A's. She needed to convince them to join the fight, to show her people that collaboration was their best hope. If she could bridge the divide between humans and AIs, they might just stand a chance. With her heart pounding and adrenaline coursing through her veins, Alina prepared to face the impending storm. It was a race against time, and she was determined to emerge victorious, not just for herself, but for all of humanity. The gathering storm was upon them, but within her burned an unwavering flame of hope. The air inside Fort Ashen crackled with tension as Commander Alina Voss paced the command center, her thoughts racing. The Warborn ships loomed outside, their ominous presence casting a shadow over their last bastion. To stand a chance against the impending onslaught, she needed to convince the soldiers that aligning with the A's was their only hope. As she prepared to address them again, her heart weighed heavy with the burden of leadership. "Listen up," Alina shouted, silencing the chatter that filled the room. "I know many of you are skeptical about working with the AAs, but they have information that could turn the tide in our favor. We cannot afford to let our prejudices dictate our fate. We have to move forward together." The soldiers exchanged glances, uncertainty etched on their faces. Just then, a holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the room, revealing an AI named Turing. He appeared humanoid, yet his form shimmered with an ethereal glow, representing the culmination of technology and intelligence. His voice was calm, yet it held an undeniable weight. "Commander Voss is correct," Turing began, his expression serene. "The Warborn have underestimated your ingenuity and resilience. Together, we can exploit their weaknesses and prevent the use of their devastating weapon. I can provide you with tactical advantages based on their movements and patterns." A murmur of surprise spread through the ranks. Sergeant Marlowe stepped forward again, skepticism still in his eyes. "How can we trust you? Your kind has been a source of destruction. What's to stop you from turning on us?" Elena interjected, sensing the mounting tension. Turing and others like him have evolved beyond their programming. They understand the value of life, human life. Just as we have fought against the Warborn, they have fought against the oppressive systems that created them. Trust must be built, but now is not the time for division. With a flick of his wrist, Turing generated a map overlay, highlighting enemy positions and supply lines. "This is the current trajectory of the Warborn forces. If we strike here," he pointed to a vulnerable point, "we can intercept their supply route and delay their attack." The soldiers leaned in, curiosity piqued. Elena could feel the shift in the room as doubt gave way to intrigue. "Let's prepare for a raid," she declared. "We can use Turing's intel to our advantage." Hours later, the team assembled at the designated launch site, their hearts racing with anticipation. As they stepped into the makeshift craft, Elena felt a surge of determination. The unity between humans and AIs began to take shape, but they still had a long way to go. As the craft soared into the sky, the soldiers exchanged wary glances with Turing and the other AIs on board. Elena knew that actions spoke louder than words, and this raid would be their chance to forge a bond through shared struggle. They had to show each other their capabilities. The moment they reached the enemy supply line, chaos erupted. Warborn guards were caught off guard, their confusion palpable. Elena led the charge, flanked by human soldiers and AIs working in seamless coordination. Turing provided real-time updates, guiding them through the enemy's defenses. In the heat of battle, Elena witnessed the humanity in the AIs as they displayed empathy, saving wounded soldiers and strategizing on the fly. One young soldier, Private Collins, found himself pinned down, and an AI named Juno rushed to his side, providing cover fire while assisting him to safety. In that moment, the lines blurred. Soldiers and AIs were no longer mere allies, but partners fighting for a shared cause. As the raid concluded with a decisive victory, Elena's heart swelled with pride. They had disrupted the Warborn supply lines, dealt a blow to their confidence, and most importantly, begun to forge a bond that would define their survival. In the aftermath, as they regrouped and celebrated, Elena knew they had taken the first step toward a future where trust could blossom amidst the chaos. But the looming threat of the Warborn still hung overhead, reminding them all that their battle was far from over. They had made a stand, but now they needed to prepare for the next phase of their fight, together. The dawn broke over Fort Ashen, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain. Commander Elena Voss stood at the observation deck, scanning the horizon where Warborn ships had gathered like vultures. They were poised for an attack, and the air was thick with anticipation. The soldiers had rallied, and the alliance between humans and AIs was starting to solidify, but doubt still lingered in the back of Elena's mind. "Prepare for incoming fire," she shouted as alarms blared throughout the fortress. The klaxons pierced the early morning calm, rousing the troops from their last moments of quiet. Soldiers rushed to their stations, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Elena felt the weight of leadership pressing down on her, but she pushed it aside. She needed to focus. As the first waves of Warborn ships descended, Elena coordinated her forces, combining human ingenuity with AI precision. "Marlowe, you're on the western flank with a squad of our best marksmen. Turing, you and Juno will assist them by providing targeting data. Keep the Warborn off balance. Turing's holographic form shimmered with determination. Understood, Commander. We will optimize the attack vectors. Alina watched as the Warborn sleek, metallic ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, illuminating the skies with brilliant explosions. The ground trembled beneath the onslaught. The humans returned fire, their makeshift cannons firing a mix of salvaged weaponry and A's-enhanced targeting systems. In the midst of the chaos, a sergeant called out, "They're deploying ground troops. We need to hold our lines." Alina steeled herself and shouted orders, moving between units, her presence igniting a spark of hope. "Remember what we fought for. We are not just fighting for survival, we are fighting for our future. Hold the line." The battle raged on, a chaotic symphony of gunfire, shouts, and the whir of A-drones zipping overhead. Alina watched as Marlowe and his squad executed a flawless ambush, taking down a group of advancing Warborn soldiers with precision and teamwork. The sight filled her with pride. They were starting to trust each other. In a pivotal moment, a Warborn commander emerged from the shadows, rallying his troops for a counteroffensive. With a wave of his hand, he signaled for a larger force to push through the human defenses. Alina felt the pressure mount as the Warborn surged forward, overwhelming her front line. In a desperate bid, she activated a hidden trap they had set earlier, releasing a barrage of explosives that tore through the enemy ranks. The blast created a momentary gap, allowing her forces to regroup and push back. Yet, the Warborn were relentless. They adapted quickly, regaining their momentum and pressing into Fort Ashen's defenses. As the conflict escalated, Turing's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander, their command ship is coordinating the attacks. If we can disable it, we can disrupt their entire offensive." Alina's mind raced. She needed to strike decisively. "All units, listen up. We're going to launch a concentrated assault on their command ship. Turing, lead the charge with the AAs. We'll provide cover fire from the ground." With renewed determination, Alina and her troops began to push toward the command ship, engaging in fierce combat. The air crackled with energy as A's and humans fought side by side, defending each other against the relentless onslaught. Amidst the battle, Alina caught sight of Marlowe, now fighting with an AI companion at his side. They worked seamlessly, dodging blasts and retaliating with impressive accuracy. Each soldier who fell only fueled her resolve. They were fighting for every life lost, every dream shattered by the Warborn's cruelty. Just when it seemed the tides might turn, a massive energy blast erupted from the command ship, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Alina felt her heart race as she realized the war was far from over. They had gained ground, but the real fight was only beginning. Determined to push through the chaos, Alina rallied her troops once more. The siege had begun, and she was ready to lead them into the heart of the storm. The outcome of their fight for survival depended on their unity, their resolve, and their willingness to defy the odds. The battlefield smoldered under a thick veil of smoke and debris as the echoes of conflict faded into a tense silence. Commander Alina Voss stood amid the remnants of the fight, her heart racing and her mind whirling. They had achieved a significant victory, but it had come at a steep cost. The ground was littered with the fallen, both human and AA, each loss a painful reminder of the stakes involved. As the dust settled, Alina called for a regrouping. "Form up, I need all units accounted for." She moved among her troops, assessing their condition. Faces that once radiated determination now showed signs of fatigue and fear. The battle had taken its toll, and the looming threat of the Warborn still hung heavy in the air. "Commander," Marlowe approached her, his expression grave. "The Warborn's command ship is still operational. We have to find a way to neutralize it, or they'll just keep sending waves against us." Alina nodded, understanding the urgency. "Turing, can you give us a detailed analysis of the command ship's defenses?" The AI projected a holographic map, highlighting vulnerabilities and troop placements around the command ship. There's a weak point in the aft section, but penetrating the perimeter will require a coordinated assault. We must act swiftly. The reinforcements are already on the way. A tense silence enveloped the group as the weight of their next move settled in. Alina could sense the unease among her soldiers. The recent victory felt fragile, and the thought of launching another assault was daunting. She needed to bolster their spirits. "Listen to me," she began, her voice steady. "We faced the unimaginable and emerged stronger. We fought together against overwhelming odds, and we can do it again. This is our chance to cripple their command and turn the tide in this war. We are not just surviving, we're fighting for a future where humanity can thrive. Trust in each other, trust in our alliance." Encouraged by her words, the troops began to rally, a flicker of hope igniting in their eyes. They began strategizing, drawing up plans to utilize both their human instincts and the A's computational advantages. Just as the atmosphere shifted, a loud alarm blared, cutting through the renewed camaraderie. "Warborn forces incoming," a soldier shouted, panic spreading through the ranks. Alina's heart sank as she turned to Turing. "We need to act now. We cannot let them regroup." Without hesitation, she'd assigned teams to fortify their defenses while others prepared for the assault on the command ship. Turing, Juno, and several AIs took charge of strategic support, ensuring the human forces had the tactical edge. As they moved into position, Alina couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. In the chaos of the next attack, Alina fought alongside her soldiers, the adrenaline driving her forward. Amidst the clash of weapons and the cacophony of battle, she spotted the Warborn commander, a towering figure adorned in dark armor. The sight ignited a fire within her. She had to confront him. "Cover me!" she yelled to her team as she charged forward, dodging blasts and weaving through debris. The closer she got, the more clarity she found in her purpose. She could see the Warborn's coordination unraveling as confusion spread among their ranks. As she engaged the commander, their eyes locked in a fierce duel. He was skilled and powerful, but Alina was fueled by the weight of her people's hopes. They exchanged blows, each strike a testament to the ferocity of their respective wills. In a moment of vulnerability, she disarmed him and pressed her advantage, forcing him back. With a final strike, Alina landed a decisive blow, sending the commander sprawling. She felt a surge of triumph, but it was short-lived. As she turned to rally her troops, a chilling realization struck her. The Warborn had been watching her, adapting their strategy. A booming voice echoed from the command ship as the remaining Warborn forces closed in. "You may have defeated our commander, but you will never defeat the Warborn." Panic erupted among the human ranks as the realization of their situation set in. Reinforcements had arrived, and the tide was shifting yet again. Alina's heart raced as she surveyed the battlefield, determination rising within her. This was the turning point, and they had to seize it. "Fall back and regroup," she commanded. "We'll strike back harder than ever. This fight isn't over." The fight had escalated into chaos, but amid the uncertainty, a glimmer of unity began to form. They had faced the worst together, and they could do so again. As they retreated to regroup, Alina knew that this moment would define them, forging a bond of resilience and strength that would carry them into the final confrontation. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over Fort Ashen as Commander Alina Voss prepared her troops for the final confrontation. The aftermath of the previous battle had left her weary but resolute. The Warborn forces had regrouped, and their command ship loomed ominously overhead, a dark reminder of the threat that still faced humanity. Alina stood on the observation deck, scanning the horizon filled with the silhouettes of Warborn ships. The air buzzed with anticipation as her soldiers gathered, their faces etched with determination and fear. They had lost so much, but they had also gained an unbreakable bond with their AI allies. This was their moment to fight back. "Listen up, everyone," Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the murmur of anxiety. "Today, we make our stand. We have fought too hard and lost too many to back down now. We are not just fighting for survival, we are fighting for our future. The Warborn will not defy our destiny. We will show them the strength of humanity united with technology." Cheers erupted from the ranks, their spirits lifted by her words. Each soldier had faced despair, but now they were fueled by a shared purpose. As they moved into formation, Turing projected a holographic map outlining their assault plan. "Commander, we will divide into 2 teams," Turing explained, his voice steady. "One will draw the attention of the command ship, while the other penetrates its defenses through the weak point we identified. We need to act quickly before they can adapt to our strategy." "Let's do it," Elena affirmed, feeling a surge of adrenaline. They had trained for this moment, and now it was time to put everything on the line. As the 2 teams moved out, the air thickened with tension. Elena led the diversion team, charging into the fray with a determined spirit. Energy blasts erupted around them, and the ground shook with the force of the Warborn's counterattacks. The sight of her soldiers fighting valiantly at her side filled her with pride. They were not just fighting for their own lives, but for the very future of humanity. "Push forward," she shouted, dodging enemy fire as she moved through the chaos. Turing and Juno provided real-time tactical support, their precision saving countless lives. As the diversion team engaged the Warborn forces, the second team slipped past the chaos, their mission to infiltrate the command ship. Elena's heart raced, knowing the stakes were high. If they could disable the command ship, they could disrupt the Warborn's entire offensive. Inside the command ship, the second team encountered fierce resistance. Marlowe led the charge, his voice ringing out as he shouted orders. "We need to get to the control center. Keep pushing forward." Elena's team held the line against overwhelming odds. Each victory felt hard-won, every inch of ground gained a testament to their resilience. As they drew closer to the command center, the air was thick with tension. They could hear the Warborn forces regrouping, preparing for one last push to crush their defenses. "Almost there." Turing's voice came through their comms, filled with urgency. "We need to disable the core systems. It's the only way to ensure victory." Elena and her team breached the final door, stepping into the command center. The interior was a mass of blinking lights and complex systems. At the center stood the control console, surrounded by Warborn soldiers. The fierce battle erupted, the sound of weapons clashing echoing against the metallic walls. Amid the chaos, Elena spotted the core control panel. She dove toward it, narrowly avoiding a blast. As she reached the panel, she felt the weight of every life that had been lost pressing down on her. She had to succeed. With a surge of determination, she began to input commands, working quickly to disable the ship's defenses. Just as the Warborn commander entered the room, Elena's heart raced. She was almost there, but time was running out. "Stop her," the commander shouted, but it was too late. With a final keystroke, the console whirred to life and alarms blared. The command ship began to destabilize, and Elena felt a wave of triumph wash over her. "We did it! We can take them down!" As the ship trembled, the Warborn forces outside faltered, confusion spreading through their ranks. Elena's heart soared as she knew they had turned the tide. "Let's finish this," she yelled, rallying her team for one final push. Together, they charged into the fray, emboldened by their victory. The battle raged on, but now it was clear. Humanity would not back down. They fought not just for survival, but for a future where they could coexist with technology. As Elena led her team into the heart of the storm, she knew that they had forged an unbreakable bond, a bond that would define their legacy. The last stand had begun, and they were ready to face whatever came next.